What's up, guys? I'm back with a brand new mask tutorial this week. Now, as many of you know, maybe a month or two ago I was going to do a Sting mask tutorial, but literally the same week that I was working on my mask tutorial, so it was Big Hush apparently, because 2 days before I had planned to release my video, Big Hush dropped his Sting mask tutorial video, and I still do want to revisit that video, but I figured I would let Big Hush's video grow a little bit before I went ahead and released that video. So I started playing around with other wrestlers that I could potentially do. There was a bunch of masked wrestlers that I liked a lot, and there was a bunch of wrestlers that wore face paint, and I kind of went back and forth with who I wanted to do, but I finally landed on doing a Jeff Hardy mask. Now, I went through probably 100 pictures of different like face paint that he had wore over the years. He had wore it in his older WWE days, and then did it a lot more in his TNA days, and then here recently he started doing it again in his in his new WWE era. So I started looking through some of his newer stuff, and I really like how he's changed it up a lot, and I wanted to go and do one of the newer designs. So I went through a lot of designs, and I finally came up and found this design that I liked. So I figured, okay, I really want to do that, so that's what this video is. I'm going to try to replicate that the best I can on a Jason Hawk. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you like that video, make sure you comment down below, make sure you hit the bell icon and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Alright, so the first thing I do is sand down the mask with some 220 grit sandpaper. After the sanding is done, I move on into taping off the straps because these straps are non-removable. I could remove these straps, but I don't have a riveting gun to reattach the straps the way they probably should be. So I'm just going to do this for right now because this is the best I can do with what I've got. After all three of the straps have been taped off, I move on into penciling in the design. Penciling in the design just allows me to correct any mistakes I may have. After penciling in the design, I will move on into markering in with a permanent marker all the lines. That way I can see them better, and it just makes it feel a bit more finalized. After the design has been completely marked in on the mask, I will move on into adding the red sections in on the mask. After all the red sections are done, I will take some white acrylic and add all the white sections in. I probably could have just used the original white sections, but for whatever reason I could not sand the original decal off of this mask, so I went ahead and decided to do acrylic all over the mask. And it was a good thing I did, because there was a bunch of overpaint in some areas, like right there at the top. So yeah, this is just me adding all the white areas back. After I had all the white areas painted, I got my Sharpie paint marker and was going to do all the line work with this paint marker, but the paint marker would not stick to the acrylic once again, so I had to resort to using acrylic black paint with a really fine brush, and it took me a lot more time. The original idea for this mask was to do it all in paint marker, because that's how Jeff Hardy does all his paint on his face, but all my part markers were dried out, so all of this had to be done with acrylic. After all the line work was done, it was time to take off the masking tape. And after the masking tape was removed, I went back under each of the straps and added the paint where it was needed to be added. And then I moved on into adding my clear coat to the entire mask. Even though there was no tape on the straps, it actually didn't hurt the straps at all. So that was a relief. After my clear coat was done, I took some white pantyhose and I cut up squares that were a little bit bigger than the eyes, and I hot glued them to the back side of the mask. And as I'm hot gluing them, I will do it in sections. That way I can stretch the pantyhose a little bit more. That way they are more translucent and easier to see through. After I had both eyes done, I took my X-Acto knife to the excess pantyhose on the back and just ripped it off. That way it didn't sit funny on my face. And after both eyes were done, I added these big old dark pupils because Jeff Hardy does this thing where when he closes his eyes, he paints like fake eyes behind it. So I wanted to replicate that in some sort of way. And then I even added eyeballs like in the rivets just because like Jeff Hardy does a lot of eyeball stuff. So yeah.
Alright guys, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon, all the buttons, press all the buttons. Comment down below if you have an idea for another mask I could do in the future. Exciting things are coming this week. We just recently hit 50 subs. No, it's not a huge number, but it is a big number for me, I guess, because I haven't hit that number yet on this channel. So yeah, important things are coming. I'm getting ready to announce something pretty big for this channel, so just make sure you stay subscribed and you tune in every time I drop a video because something fun is definitely coming. Thanks guys.